I'm a bit of an old soul, and like many of my elders, I'm a creature of habit. If I find a pattern that works for me, I'll repeat it over and over again until it ceases to work. Sometimes for years on end, over and over. I found this saves me lots of time and little decision making. I like to take the long way into town because it's a prettier drive. I pray every morning before my feet hit the floor. I make the same coffee in the same pot. I read on the same corner of my couch under the same lamp. Early every Saturday morning, as early as I can tolerate getting out of bed, I have coffee with my old man on his back porch. Every Wednesday, I have breakfast with the same group of older men, sitting in the same chair at the same table in the same old café in Bastrop. All my friends outside of the breakfast group know it as my old man breakfast, but every one of my friends in the group know it simply as breakfast. If you followed any of these episodes, you've been introduced to some of my elders, starting with my very first episode with my grandpa, RV. That's episode 1, who's still going strong in his 95th year, I might add. Jim Wither, Joe Myers, Jim Berkner are all in the breakfast group, and my goal is to get everyone in the group to join me in the studio at some point this year. You who are watching and haven't been on the show yet, consider yourself warned. Today's guest is another longtime member, Dain Whitworth. I'd classify Dain as the quiet one of the group, but when you get him one-on-one, he has plenty of great stories and wisdom to offer, and if you can coax a laugh out of him, it feeds an old soul. I hope you'll enjoy this visit as much as I did. This is my friend, Dain Whitworth. And so it all has to be combined together, and it's still, I think there's probably an AI tool that can do a bulk of it, but it's still very much a cut and
but
paste
it's which one brings a point across that you're trying to make and stuff. I don't know that AI could take that job away from people.
It doesn't seem to me obvious that it would,
Maybe
because
it can.
there is a little bit of art to it.
A lot of art to it.
Yeah. There's a functional element of when this guy is talking, have the camera and the microphone on him, and then when this guy is talking, have the camera on him. But one of the beauties of the podcast medium is that you're getting to sit in on people having a conversation. I don't like doing interviews. I like doing just regular conversations, much like what we would have had just over coffee at
My
Old World.
stepson and stepdaughter, they do a lot of work for the World Bank, and he will go like to the Tibetan villages and tape for 2 weeks on, I don't remember the subject matter and stuff, but I mean, goes to places. Then they come back, and she was a teacher. She was a teacher, English teacher at Eanes, and graduated from St. Ed's. And she puts a story together, and he clips and puts together the stuff. I mean, some of the instruments were cool where you could take and turn people around and do all sorts of things with them on film. But I've been witness to some of that, and it's amazing to me.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of know-how and a lot of art.
It's a mixture of very different sides of your brain, because there is a technical element to it that would be, I look at it as IQ and EQ, so I'm sure there's a different way to put it, but a person that's more IQ likes the thing element to the cutting and clipping and splicing together and the technical side of working on the software tools.
I don't think I qualify on either end.
But then there's this artistic component to it that's the totally opposite side of your brain that has to understand the look and the feel and the sound. And
also, they do a lot of stuff for the, I guess, Department of Health, mainly on prenatal stuff, and makes films for them to educate people on educate young mothers and expectant mothers.
Really?
Yeah.
This is in Texas.
Yeah.
So this is not your son that's in Colorado Springs.
No, it is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Well, their stepson. I can't actually claim either one of them, but through marriage. But yes.
Yeah.
Well, they were doing it here, and they've continued to do it.
Huh. Does he live in Springs, or does he live in
No,
Texas?
Colorado Springs.
He's in Colorado Springs, but does still a lot of work in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Have you done something like this before?
No.
Never. What do you make of our relationship? This is a fun place to start. How would you refer if you're telling say your stepson about me, how are you going to explain me to him? How do you know that guy?
through the Breakfast Club, as I call it,
Yeah.
and he's the young member,
The young guy.
the young guy.
Yeah. It's that Breakfast Club comes up in conversations for me a whole lot. And it's something that people don't ever forget. Once I've told them, if I talk to them again, it's the first thing they ask about. Hey, are you still doing your breakfast meeting?
I find it very interesting because everyone comes from such a different background, and it's amazing just to listen to them and how they view things. And a lot of it's just based on where they grew up and their background.
Yeah. I know there are things that the membership of that group disagree about, but you don't see it get disagreeable that often.
Nah, I haven't. I would guess that they're probably politics and uh, would be one of the areas that
Yeah.
they disagree about, but there's not a whole lot of disagreement there, I don't think.
There's not.
Um,
Some of that's probably geographic, like we all kind of ended up in the same part of the world, so there's a little bit of bias there just given where we chose to live.
mhm,
Some of it I think maybe has a lot to do with the generation that most people were raised in. Like your
mm,
generation, there are things you just don't talk about. You don't talk
right,
about religion, you don't talk about politics.
right, off the table.
You just kind of avoid those topics.
Yes,
I think my generation avoids conflict altogether, largely.
really?
I think we're a little nervy about conflict. I think that conflict feels more dire to a person in my era and younger than it would to a person in your era.
Mm,
I think because, I mean, hardship is relative, right?
right,
So your hardship that you've gone through in your life, whatever that hardship is, feels to you like hardship. And my hardship, while it's going to be totally different, it's the only
yeah,
thing I know.
yeah, but hardship to hardship may not stack up the same.
That's exactly right.
Mm,
But it would feel the same to the person experiencing it.
exactly.
The worst thing you've been through is the worst thing you've been through.
Mhm.
So I think that my generation, we weren't raised with World War. I don't remember. I think you've told me, but how old are you?
86 in March, 85
86,
now.
85. By the way, if there's anything we talk about in here, including your age that you don't want released publicly, you just got to tell me. We can edit it out later.
I don't care.
Okay, good. I didn't figure you did. So you were born in what year?
40.
1940. So that's what? That's tail end of World War II, right?
Well, no, it was before we got into it. I was 2 years old when uh, Pearl Harbor happened,
That's right. That happened in
42,
December of,
42, December 7th, 42.
was it 42 or 41?
May have been 41.
There's the
I
presidential address that said December 7th. I think it was 1941.
41?
Yeah.
Okay.
A date which will live in infamy. Isn't that right, Paul? Yeah. So you were 2 when that happened.
Well, not quite 2.
Do you have any memories of that era? Any memories of the war?
A little bit. I remember my dad coming home and opening his shirts and A1 and red letters on it and saying I've been A1. And then he came home a few days later and dejected. And it turned out that he was working at Dixon Gun Plant at the time. And they said, okay, you can join, but that just means you keep your same job at half the salary. And he and mother talked it over and decided that he wouldn't do it. And then later in life, he wished he had have done it.
Mm.
I kind of remember that, and I remember Pearl Harbor being talked about quite a bit back then. Then I remember my uncle was he was in school at the time, and they graduated him 6 months early and sent him to Annapolis, and he was a captain of a LST
Hmm.
that landed in southern France
Hmm.
in the mock invasion of southern France before the main invasion. But and I remember when he got home, he wanted tomatoes. That's all he wanted. He had missed tomatoes for 4 or 5 years
'Cause you
and
couldn't get 'em
3
there.
years, and, yeah, couldn't get them. So,
Uh,
uh,
what is the A1 that your dad had painted on it?
A1 was, eligible. I mean, you're qualified, you're physically qualified for
Mm.
enlistment.
So he came back to say he was qualified,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they were gonna keep him in the same job, but less pay. What's that about?
He would have been a military man in the same job, and he would b based on the classification, he would get and the pay was just
Oh,
that much less.
he would get the military pay for somebody at that
Right,
level,
right,
not in line with the job that he had.
right,
Yeah.
and at the time, uh, I was there and my brother was on the way, so they decided not to do it.
Yeah.
Then later in life, because of the, veteran benefits and stuff, he wished he had done it.
Oh, I see. Did you serve at all?
No, no.
You did.
I was from the Houston area, so they had the lottery at the time,
Mm.
and I was way down, and then by the time and then I got in college, and they were taking people, but not college people, and, then by the time, I got to law school, they were taking people in college, but not in graduate school.
Ah,
And then I got married and they were taking people in graduate school, but not married people.
you just barely outran it.
Yeah, I was just about sometimes a week or 2,
Wow.
sometimes 6 months was ahead of the schedule, but
Do you have any of the regret that you didn't do it that your dad had?
no, no, I didn't. I grew up kinda anti-war, if and I guess and the Vietnam deal was
Mm.
a totally different ball game than World War II, and, I was kind of against the Vietnam War,
Mhm.
not against the people that were serving because they didn't have any choice, or if they did, they were doing it for the country, but
Mm.
still.
Against the notion of going to war for
Well,
the
going to
sake of that
war
conflict.
for they probably could have handled it a whole lot differently based on what I've read since then, so.
Yeah. That's, I have never been as into war history as I have right now. I'm just now kinda getting into it,
Mm,
partially because my 10-year-old son, for whatever reason, is interested in it.
mm,
So I'm a little bit novice as it relates to World War II and Vietnam, but what I gather from what I read about the reasoning that was given to get into the Vietnam War in the first place, that it was kind of a
yeah, if
false notion to begin with.
right,
Yeah.
right.
What do you remember from that time? That was what, 60s? Late 60s?
Yeah, 59 up through the '60s,
Okay.
um, into the '70s, I guess.
Into the 70s.
Yes, I
So you
mean,
would have been, if you were born in
40.
1940, you were mid 30s.
Yeah, 20 to 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember from that era? What was the world like then? Did it feel tense and anxious and the country's at war, or was it close enough to previous conflict that it just felt like this is what it's always going to be like?
Well, you had all of the protests and you heard both sides of it. I think, um, the news would probably, in some case, very biased, but
Mm,
you heard both sides of it, and it wasn't like the First World War where everybody was behind it. Well, everybody, 90% were behind it. Uh, it was very divided.
hmm. Yeah, there was glaring reasons to go into war during World War II that were pretty
Yeah.
obvious to everybody.
Yes. Yes.
How much similarity do you see between that era and this era we live in now?
I think we're closer to the Vietnam era than to the World War.
Yeah, tell me why.
I don't know that I can
We might
answer that
sway. We might
question.
sway into politics here, and that's okay.
I don't know that I can answer that question. I don't know.
It just feels that way.
It just feels that way. Yeah. I mean, now there's more distrust of public figures,
Mm.
especially political figures, and you're never sure who's telling the truth and who's trying to feather their own nest.
Hmm. Do you feel that way too? That distrust?
Not as much as I'm just cautious as to what to believe.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Seems to me like, and this will sway into political, so we can pull the reins back and go a different direction if you want to. But given what's happened in the last 5 years since COVID, and given some of the friendships that I've just had completely evaporate because of a assumption of where I fell politically that just totally fractured the relationship. That's the thing I have such little tolerance for.
Hmm.
Because if you really care about a person and a friendship, the way that they feel politically or even religiously, the two topics you're not supposed to talk about, shouldn't you should be able to separate their beliefs or their feelings about a topic from the person themselves, right?
I tend to do that. My son does not do that.
Uh-huh.
He has a Marine buddy that is very mega. He won't have anything to do with him because that's all the friend wants to talk about,
Mm.
and he doesn't want to deal with him at all. I can just not pay any attention to that, um, and deal with him, but he can't. Uh,
I don't want you to speak for him, but I'm going to ask you to speak for him. Do you think it's because is it because that friend is right leaning, or is it because that friend is the version of right leaning that's all he can talk about?
Probably a little of both, but
Mm.
I don't think I can honestly answer that
Yeah.
question.
My expectation is my experience. I won't even say expectation. My experience with it is that you have a bell curve that exists in any other way you'd evaluate a population of people. You get this bell curve
Mhm.
where you've got a percentage of people on the left end of a spectrum that have very extreme views, very firmly held opinions, to the point it's kind of a religious adherence at that point. And then you have people that are an equal percentage on the, say, the right end of the spectrum that are just the same. They've got firmly held opinions. They don't want to change them. They talk a lot about them. And then you have a middle percentage in the middle of the bell curve that are still on the right or the end of the middle, but they don't hold on to their beliefs quite as tightly. They're not as defined by them. And their core concepts of what's important in life tend to be pretty similar with each other. This is my experience, is that I've got friends that are more conservative. I've got friends that are more liberal. The ones that I don't keep around are the ones that are utterly convinced that they're right and can't be talked to otherwise.
Well, as long as I can deflect that conversation of either one and bring it back to something other than that topic, I don't have any problem with either extremist.
Yeah.
But I can understand people not wanting to deal with it.
Talk about that
Maybe I
deflection.
don't feel as strongly for either end.
You're in the
Maybe
middle
I'm
of the
more
bell
in the
curve.
middle.
You're in the middle of the bell curve. I think there's generously 10% on each side of the bell curve. It's probably less than that. It's probably 5% that are the really extreme sides of that viewpoint. They're also the ones that are the most willing to share their viewpoint.
Well, that's
And
true.
the
Yeah.
middle of the bell curve, there's a lot of the people on the left end of the middle part of the bell curve that define people on the right end of the bell curve by that extreme because that's what they get fed in their social media or news outlet.
Right.
This is the thing I'm interested to talk to people like you about that doesn't come up in our breakfast conversations a lot because I'm outnumbered. But people in my age bracket are kind of weirded out by where we're at right now. It feels squirrely.
In what way? I mean,
It feels unstable, like war could pop off any minute. like the U.S.
Oh,
could nosedive any minute.
I guess my generation is uh, somewhat immune to that in that we got under our desk like atomic bomb was going to hit when we were kids and things like that. That when you got older, you figured out if atomic bomb hit, it didn't matter whether you were under your desk or on top of it. I mean, you were gone either way, and it was just we're just kind of immune to that. If it happens, it happens, but hopefully, it's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
So you don't feel any of that sense of instability or
Oh, I feel a little bit of in that uh, inflation instability and that type of instability. Yes,
economic instability.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, but not necessarily war or that end of it.
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit and talk about your background. When we had coffee a couple weeks ago, we talked a lot about your background. So we may cover the same ground twice,
Okay.
but I think it's important for this just so it's a well-rounded conversation.
Hmm.
You were raised in Texas, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Texas.
Okay.
In fact, until I was in college, I didn't go out of Texas.
Really?
Well, I guess I did. I went to a football game in Arkansas, I guess I did get out of Texas at
But that
least
was it.
once. That was it.
What part of Texas were you raised in?
Well, I was born in Houston, and when I was 4 years old, we moved to Smithville, and I lived there through junior high school, and then we moved back to the Houston area, and once I finished school, I went to Austin to go to college and stayed there until 2006 when I basically retired and went to the coast. And then after my wife passed away in 2003, I moved back to Smithville.
Back to Smithville in 2003.
Hmm.
And your family was tell this bit of your background. Your family was sort of founding membership of Smithville, correct?
I
We're
don't know
here from
about
the get-go.
I don't know about founding the Dains, which is my grandmother's family, came with the railroad in the 1890s, and the Whitworths were here before that. I'm not sure how they apparently grew up around between Bastrop and Elgin, and then my great grandfather and grandmother were uh, lived in Smithville, and I never really knew them. But
Hmm.
uh, my grandmother Dain married Gladys Dain married a Whitworth, and so then my dad and my uncle were the two surviving children of that relationship. Basically, that's it.
Mm.
My mother was from Galveston. My grandfather on her side came from Croatia as a young man to
Mm.
miss the war. Um, his mother sent him back over to join his brother in Galveston back in around 1900.
Mm. What called you back to Smithville in the early 2000s?
My kids wanted me to move back to Austin, and I didn't want to live in the traffic, and so Smithville was far enough away. There wasn't the traffic, but it close enough that we could see each other
Yeah,
regularly.
sure. And I guess you knew the town a little bit.
I still remembered the streets. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. What do you make of Smithville now?
it's grown quite a bit. When I was first moved to Smithville as a kid, it was around 3,000 people, and then the railroad moved while we were here, and it dropped to lower than 2,000, and now it's back, I guess, 3,500 or so,
Yeah.
and uh, downtown still is needs to come back a little bit. There were 3 grocery stores in town when I was a kid, and every building in the downtown area was occupied.
This will be pretty niche conversation, but it's something I'm interested in hearing from on a native Smithvillian level. But what What is the reason why Smithville has not redeveloped, in your opinion?
It's a little too far from Austin to commute for most people. And I think it's redeveloped to some degree. It's just hadn't, and I think it will continue to develop, but it, there's not enough reason for people to live there. There's not any enough uh, business opportunity.
Hmm. Proximity to Austin helps.
Yes.
Proximity to Bastrop helps, especially given the way that Bastrop is
Yes, that's
developing.
helped. That's helped, and I think will continue to help quite a bit. People that don't want to live in Bastrop will tend to go to Smithville.
Yeah. If you could wave a magic wand and be the one that gets to be in charge of how it develops, what would you want to see?
I would look for some way to provide more parking downtown and more incentives for businesses to move into the downtown buildings versus building new buildings on the outskirts of town.
Hmm.
But other than that, maybe bringing some type of industry in, uh, but they've tried that off and on over the years.
Yeah. Seems like there's still a good enough amount of property around Smithville that could be turned into housing or could be turned into manufacturing.
Oh, yes.
It baffles me that it hasn't already happened. Not because of the proximity to Austin is a thing. And like you said, if you're an hour away from where your job is, that's a tough commute
Hmm.
up and down 71, although it's getting better. But
Well, sometimes.
sometimes the roads are getting better. There's bypasses going in to miss stoplights and such. But it baffles me that other little small towns that have the same geographic constraints and proximity to Austin that Smithville does, you go to those towns and there doesn't seem to be that kind of stifled growth. You look at downtown Smithville and buildings are falling apart, and you can only have so many antique shops and art galleries. You look at downtown, say LaGrange or Giddings or Lockhart.
Well, Lockhart's somewhat the same shape. It's a little closer, so it's got a little more growth than Smithville does, but
Yeah.
it's somewhat on par with Smithville.
Lockhart has the toll road that gets pretty close where people could get into downtown Austin fairly quickly too.
Right.
That helps.
Right.
I'd like to see it develop only because, when we got here 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it was like it is now.
Mhm.
I kind of like I knew it when sort of thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I would like to see that town be known for something other than a 1990s era movie, you know?
Yeah, that is kind of outdated.
It's a little outdated.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things going for that town, but it remains to be seen how it'll develop. You're 85. How well do you remember 40?
Vague.
Vague.
Yeah, it kinda slipped by in the middle ground.
Where were you at 40?
I was practicing law in Austin, and, that I lost my first wife in '85, and I was the kids were my son was in high school fixing to get out, and my daughter was in junior high, I think, at the time.
Son in high school and daughter in junior high
Mhm.
when you lost her. If you lost her in 85, you were 45.
Right.
What's that like, Dane?
It's something you don't wanna go through if you don't have to. I mean, you certainly can if you could have certainly avoided if you wanted to avoid it if you could.
Yeah.
It's it's something that happens, and I went 5 years, went a couple of years without dating or anything, and then started dating and dated with different people, and then met my second wife in '89. Uh, Actually, she came to work for the law firm I was in as a receptionist, secretary, paralegal, boss.
Uh-huh.
And, then we got married, and I lost her in 2003, so
You've been through it twice.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
It it's lonely when it happens, it's pretty lonely for a period of time,
Yeah.
but you adjust.
You do adjust?
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't forget, but you adjust.
Yeah. It's my worst nightmare, losing my wife.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hopefully. I lost my dad when he was 49 years
When he
old,
was 49.
and I was in college, yeah, and I never expected and I lost my grandfather when he was just barely 50, a little over 50, and, well, I never expected to live to retirement age and never thought about losing a wife.
Uh,
I mean, I thought I would be the first to go and never worried about retirement and just happy go lucky.
Given what you now know at 85, what would you tell yourself at 40? Because you were, unbeknownst to you at 40, you were staring down the barrel of some pretty significant life events 5 years following that.
Oh, I don't know that you could tell yourself anything that would make it any better or do it. I mean, you go with the flow. It's not sure how to describe it. I just don't think that you could forewarn yourself or do anything that would make it easier or whatever.
Yeah. How was it on your kids? You got a boy in high school and a daughter in junior high.
It, it was hard on both of them, really hard, especially my daughter. I mean, I think daughters are probably closer to their mom anyway, and it was really hard for her.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And to have it happen twice, I guess it would make the troubles that we're going through today pale in comparison.
Yeah, I don't think you can. It's, I don't think much compares to it.
Yeah. So you end up back in Austin. Let's go back to that piece of it. You go to college there. You went to undergrad at UT?
Yes,
Did you go to law school there as well?
yes,
Both undergrad and law school at UT.
right.
What made you go to law school?
I started off as as freshman at UT in engineering, and a year and a half into it, I hated it. I just hated it.
Why?
I didn't like course materials. I didn't think I don't know. I just didn't like it, and I decided I would go to testing and guidance. It, and so I went and signed up. Said I don't know what I want to do. I don't think I want to do be an engineer. And they gave me a bunch of tests and called me back in 3 or 4 weeks and said, "Okay, we've gone through all the tests, and we think that you're best suited to be either a school teacher, social worker, or lawyer." And I said, mm, "Guess I'll be a lawyer." And so I switched from engineering to business school, uh, so I didn't have to take any foreign languages since I took Latin in high school and hated it. And so I graduated business school with basically all my electives were the engineering courses that I'd already had, and then went to law school. Started off in law school and did not do real well first year, and finally it dawned on me that there's no direct answers in law school. It's how many issues do you see, et cetera, and turn things around, and
Hmm.
graduated from law school. Uh, and at the time, I thought that I wanted to be a bond lawyer, but realized that about the time I was fixing to get out of school or graduate from law school, that you had to live in Houston or Dallas at the time to be a bond lawyer. And so I didn't know what to do. And my wife and I started trying to decide where to live. And jobs were hard to find at the time in mid 60s.
Mid
And
60s.
uh, yeah. And so, well, I, we couldn't agree on, she wanted a large town, I wanted a small town. And we finally decided we'd look for middle-sized towns. We couldn't find any openings for lawyers in middle-sized towns, so we just basically stayed in Austin, which was a middle-sized town at the time.
Yeah, what else qualified as a middle-sized town in the 60s?
Oh, Victoria, uh, Lubbock, I mean, part of it was we didn't wanna go there, like Lubbock or whatever.
Mhm.
Tyler probably would be a middle-sized town, but she'd gone to high school there and didn't wanna go back there.
Mm.
Um, there just weren't many middle-sized towns. Waco was probably a middle-sized town, but um, anyway, so
And Austin qualified.
Austin qualified, and so I went to work for a short period of time at State Securities Board, and then a job came open in the county attorney's office, so I jumped at that and got in criminal law at that point and really liked it, so stuck with it.
What about criminal law did you like?
Well, you felt like you were doing the right thing,
Mm.
uh, either representing the public or the people injured, uh, or on the other side, trying to make sure that the individual that is charged got their rights protected.
Mm.
Most people charged are guilty of something, but the tendency is of the police and prosecutors is to overcharge.
Mm.
And so trying to make the punishment fit to actual crime is a big challenge.
Yeah. Was your preference to defend or was your preference to prosecute?
I don't know that I had necessarily any preference. I enjoyed both. Uh, I can't say.
Mm.
I guess if it had maybe a little bit to the defense, because it was dealing with people and trying to help the person and
Mm.
keep them. Uh, I mean, you're looking at the facts that the state can prove as to what's going to happen, and trying to convince the individual that no matter what, the facts are the facts.
You're protecting in that role more than attacking.
Right, right.
Yeah. I could see that. How long did you do that for?
30, 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
Now you said when you retired the first time, you had multiple kind of stages of retirement, did you not?
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, I didn't want to give up practicing it altogether. So I talked the DA and down at the Bay in Calhoun County to give me a job as assistant DA.
Hmm.
And we're roughly the same age, and um, I practiced as assistant county attorney there, handling all misdemeanor, well, handling felonies as well, but I handle basically all the misdemeanors by myself and help with the felonies, and it was a fun deal. I did that for uh, about 6 years, I guess,
Huh.
and uh, then quit that and started doing just some individual, doing appointment work, just something to do. I would work maybe 2 days a week, and fish the rest of the time, and finally gave that up
This is at the coast.
at the coast.
What was the impetus for the move from Austin to the back to the coast?
Oh, we had a bay house down there, and we would go down on the weekends, and had a lot of friends with houses down there, and it was at the time when everybody was alive, it was a big group uh, get together every weekend and a lot of fun. And and so retiring down there was just to keep it going.
Yeah. So it was, you already had a foot planted there. You're towards the end of your career. You're not quite ready to quit yet, but close to it.
Yeah, and I wanted to slow down and not work as hard.
It was a downshift.
Right.
Yeah. Post kids and all that. And then you did that for, you said 6 years?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
What
yeah.
was the,
2 terms of
when you finally realized, okay, I'm going to retire for good?
oh, my boss decided not to run again, and well, no, I left right before he did that. So, uh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just decided that I wanted to slow it down more, I guess.
Yeah. Did you have any fear moving into retirement? You had talked about your job having a lot of meaning to it.
Mhm.
Did you have any fear of retiring for the fear of losing meaning for what you were spending your time on?
No, I didn't think of it in that sense. I was practicing because I wanted to practice, and when I decided to shut it down or to slow it down, it was just kind of a natural progression.
You just sort of knew it's time to do that and make
Well,
the
when I
call.
shut it down totally, it was yeah, I knew it was time to do that. I was getting old, and I was worried about whether I was losing my edge and uh, not doing a good job for my clients.
Yeah. Do you remember day one of retirement?
No, it was so much semi-retirement that it kinda all blends
It's just an
together.
easy downshift,
Yeah, I
gradual
went from
slowing.
working, 5 days a week, 10, 15 hours a day down to maybe 2 days a week, s 4 or 5 hours a day,
Yeah, yeah.
and so
So you had an easy transition in that way.
very easy.
Do you miss doing it? Or once you were done with it, you were done with it?
I don't necessarily miss doing it. I'm yeah, I guess I do miss it a little bit, but, uh, still, if I can't represent my clients the way I used to be able to, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Were you, I guess in that era, there was no working remotely as much.
No, we didn't.
You were in the office every day.
Oh, yeah, there
Yeah.
wasn't any remote. No one even thought about that until COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Could you do it today? Would it be the job that you'd want if it required you to work remotely? You ever thought about that?
No, I haven't thought about that, but a whole lot of it was dealing with your client or your adversary. So it would be hard to do much other than the research, which you did in the office, which you could do at home or anywhere. And I guess at the end, to some degree, I was doing most of the research at home anyway. So uh, there's not a whole lot that you can do. And I always thought that you needed to be at the office in case somebody came in and wanted to hire you.
Uh,
Just
yeah. It's my experience with it. My whole business is remote. Yeah,
yeah,
effectively all of it. All of what we do is remote.
but
But that's not where I started my career. I started my career in sales.
well, it's not all remote because you're still selling. Well, I don't know if you are necessarily, but your company's still selling itself to new customers, and that's one on one. I'm sure it's
It is, but it's still largely remote.
really
It is. We so I'll tell you the short version of it. In my early career, I was selling office equipment door to door. So I was
mm,
only ever in person, but it was never, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in the company's office. I was out
mhm.
spending time in the marketplace talking to businesses face to face, but it was all face to face work. And then when we started our business in 2014, we spent 3 years in an office in downtown Austin because it's just all I knew is you go to the office in the morning, you meet with the team. If you need to go out and meet with customers on site, you do that. But leave the house, go to the office, go to customers' offices, and then when you get home, I had a method where I had a work bag and I would set my work bag down by the front door, and it was like a mental reminder of I'm setting work down and picking up home version of Tanner.
Mm.
And then in 2017, we had a manager who had his previous job was working for Dell, and his whole team was remote. They had 40 something people on his team that were all over the country.
Hmm.
And so he was really well versed in managing a remote team. And he's like, Tanner, you've got a team of IT people that have a setup at their house that they're really comfortable working on, a computer setup with monitors and keyboards and stuff that's set up the way that they like it. They'd probably work better if you let them work from home. And it was at the tail end of our lease. And we experimented with it for a month because I'm not that type. I'm like you, I'd rather be in the office. But we experimented with it for a month. It was September of 2017. And we decided, okay, our lease is going to renew and we're going to be 3x out of pocket. Our expenses were going to go up by 3 times, almost 3 times.
Mm.
So let's see what happens when we let people work remotely. And, our business is very data driven. So we could tell how much people were producing and everybody's productivity went up
Mm.
because they're just used to working from home. And the nature of what we do, when somebody has an IT issue, you need to get on it quickly and fix it quickly. Well, if we can do that over the internet and not have to drive to somebody's office and then get there and try to figure out what's going on, it's more effective for the customer. So we're in a weird niche where our team builds camaraderie remotely really well, and we do most of what we do remotely really well. But I have such a interpersonal bent to me where I want to be with somebody face to face. And we're trying to figure out a way to sort of blend the two together. But most of what we do remotely.
Yeah, I remember as having a computer problem, and hiring a person to help me do it, and they did it remotely, and it just shocked me that they could deal with my computer from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I couldn't really wrap my mind around that.
I'm not an IT person by trade at all, really, nor have I really ever been. My reason to get into it was different than being a practitioner.
That's
I'm still
probably why
blown
you're
away.
successful at it.
Maybe. Yeah, because I look at it like the customer looks at it.
Mhm.
I'm still blown away by the amount of work that somebody can do remotely with me on site and them not seeing what I'm seeing, but asking the right questions and knowing how to troubleshoot something. It's a skill set.
Well, and how can they pull up your computer on their computer?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. What's interesting about my job related to the job that you came from, it's very much a trade. People think about IT people as being very technical, like programmer types. We're not that at all. We're much more like tradesmen. We're much more like plumbers and HVAC and
Hmm.
electrical type workers. Very much a trade. It's just a sort of a modern trade in that way.
Yeah. Have you unplugged it, and plugged it back
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. It's like 80% of it. Did you turn it off yet and turn it back on?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Let's do that first. Oh, it fixed it. Great. In your professional life or personal life, tell me about the importance of mentors to you. You remember any mentors you had?
Oh, my uncle was a big mentor.
Tell me about
Uh,
that.
well, when I lost my dad, my uncle eh, more or less helped me out. And when I went, well, before I lost my dad, even when I went to college, he helped me get a job at the legislature, and he was the lobbyist. And well, he served in the legislature for Bastrop County for 2 terms,
Hmm.
and then he was a lobbyist representing the Chemical Council and pollution lobbyist. But anyway, he served as a mentor to me throughout my life, helping me, took me hunting and things. Well, my dad did as well, but when I lost my dad, my uncle stepped in and
Yeah.
took care of me, even though he had 2 sons himself.
Hmm. What's his name?
Harry Whitworth.
Harry Whitworth.
Hmm.
When did he pass?
75.
So he's been gone a while.
Yeah.
As an 85-year-old man, do you have anybody in your life that you would consider a mentor? Or are you past that part of your life now?
I'm past that. I hardly know anybody older than myself.
Yeah.
Nearly all my good friends have passed away. So, uh, my friend from elementary school, Mike Sharp, first to go, and then I lost my friends from high school and friends from college, and it's down to more or less just me and a few younger people I know.
Yeah. The breakfast group.
We're in the breakfast group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one young guy.
Yeah.
Dain, talk to me about when you're in your 80s. Like I just turned 40 in December, so I'm pretty newly over the hill.
I wouldn't say that.
It feels that way. 40 felt different. That's the first birthday I've had that felt significant.
Hmm.
I don't know that I can fully articulate why yet. I'm still sort of making my way through it. I'm only a couple weeks in.
Okay.
But, I'm at a place in my life where I might get another 40 if I'm lucky. I might be at that halfway point if I'm
you
fortunate.
may get 50 or 60.
I may get 50 or 60.
Yeah.
I may die on the way out of the parking lot. You just
Who
never know.
knows? Yeah.
Yeah. When you're 85, barring anything unforeseen, you won't get another 85 years.
No.
When you're living in a world like we're living in 2026, there is no shortage of things to be pessimistic about or to be fearful about or anxious about. But what makes you optimistic? And what you see in, say, younger generations or the way the world looks today, what makes you optimistic for, say, me when I'm 85, 45 years out?
I guess just history. I mean, throughout mankind's time on this earth, there's been problems and people solving them and moving forward. And I just think that hopefully people won't destroy themselves and will keep moving forward. So I guess that's about as close as I can get to it.
Do you think about it often?
No, not really.
You don't?
I mean, no. Uh, why worry about something that you don't have any control over?
You're very, my observation of you, if you look at all the guys in that breakfast group and you were to tally all the words spoken at that breakfast group during the course of a given breakfast, you probably have the lowest number of tallied words. You don't talk a lot.
No, but Jim doesn't talk a lot. Willard doesn't talk a lot.
Yeah.
Some talk quite a bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's
and Joe the salesman, he
yeah.
talks.
Joe's a talker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's being aware of things that are actually within your sphere of influence to control. When I do get worried about the future, that is one of the ways that I go about sort of talking myself away from that worry, is trying to be really clear and intentional about giving my energy and my attention to things that I can actually influence.
Hmm. Yeah. Why worry about something that you have no control over whatsoever? A lot of people will worry themselves sick over things that they have no control over, and it seems like a waste of worrying to me.
Yeah. You're only given so much energy and attention.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Why
Well,
spend it on things you can't
why make
influence?
yourself feel bad?
Yeah. Good way to put it. Well, Dana, I appreciate you being willing to come in and do something like this.
I enjoyed it.
It's fun to do.
Yeah. it
Yeah.
is.
And I've appreciated getting to watch you interact with that breakfast group. I appreciate your being a man of few words. It's something I feel like I aspire towards in the next 40 is to talk less.
You're interesting and keep it flowing.
Yeah, but there's a beauty in being the type that can say something in 10 words that it would take me 20.
Well, just 'cause it's hard to come up with the more words than 10.
Yeah. There's a Bible verse about that even a fool is thought wise when he holds his tongue, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. I really do appreciate you being willing to come in here and put yourself on camera. I know that's not a totally comfortable thing to do.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks for the time.
Okay.